Hey geeks, Jim from MajorGeeks.com, coming from the bunker in the basement. And I wanted to talk today about a problem I had with Amazon Web Services, specifically S3, which is Amazon's cloud storage. And I store some files there for, offline security storage, things I want to keep for sure, but don't want them stored locally, in case something happens, old code or something. And for years I've used this with no problem, probably 5 years. I've never had a problem with it. But after July or August, you can see where my cost of the service went from a few cents a day to a couple of dollars a day. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And eventually called into Amazon support system, their billing support, and said, I think you're overcharging me. If you look, and with any of these, they're under what's called buckets. All right, so here I have this bucket, and up underneath I have two items, and this is an excellent thing because in this bucket were only these two items. They weren't changed since February. Nothing's changed. All right, so it's a good test example. The other bucket I had a couple 100 gig with a lot of data going in and out, and that was being reported very wrong too, but this is a nice simple example. So you can see here under archives I have nothing, and up under here I have just the one folder, which is 3 meg, or one file which is 3 meg in size, just a image I had uploaded to test whether or not I wanted to upload my images there. And if you go up under management and go into metrics, you can see that those two items were being reported as 2.7 gig in size, not 3 meg in size, 2.7 gig in size. So I called up their support and said, hey, you're overbilling me. I have, in this case 3 meg, and you're billing me for 2.8 gig. We need to credit that back. And they literally told me, we cannot do that. We look and we see you have several terabytes in data. You have to talk to tech support, and then they can work it out. And in order to go to tech support, you either have to pay $35 for email support or $100 for voice support. So in essence, they're overbilling me. They're making a mistake, and they're charging me to find out the answer for the mistake, which seems wrong. But they're Amazon, they're king of the world right now, so I guess they can do these sorts of things, and I had no choice. During the course of conversation, I found out what the problem is and how to fix it and how it won't happen for you. So if you watch, this can be corrected. What happens when you upload a file to Amazon, they use a multi-part uploader. Old geeks will remember the multi-threaded downloaders, and I think Firefox has it built in now as well. But they have multi-threaded downloaders. They have a multi-threaded uploader. So if the multi-threaded uploader, let's say you have a 100 meg file and 90 meg gets there, at 10 didn't, and it drops, it stores that failed upload. You can't see it, but it's stored there. And then you upload the 100 meg again, and it works. It is fine. So now you got the 100 meg and the 90 meg, so you're storing 190 meg, but really you only wanted 100 meg because it stores that as well. If you have versioning on here, which keeps multiple versions of your file for backups, then that 90 meg is backed up, the 100 meg is backed up, the 90 meg is backed up, the 100 meg is backed up, and so on and so forth exponentially. And this is what's going on here. I understand that, and I understand the versioning, but the problem is the multi-threaded uploads that failed, you as a customer cannot see them. There is nothing in this web interface that will show them to you. You can't see it. You don't know they're there. The only way you'll know that there's a problem is if you look here and say, well, I have 3 meg, but I go over here and under metrics, it says I'm storing several gig. That means there's several gig of failed uploads and versions that Amazon stored for you. Thank you, Amazon, that they're billing you for that you can't get to and you can't see. Now, you can get there with CLI, and you can install that, get through a DOS prompt, and if you know server commands like that, you can do it that way, but you cannot do this through the web interface. I'll give a link to that document in the description. I do know that you could do this with a web interface with about 8 lines of Java code, and I offered the guy those 8 lines of code to Amazon for the cost of the service phone call that I was paying, but he didn't take me up on that deal. So he did, however, teach me how this won't happen in the future. And it's very simple, and I cannot believe this isn't based to the install of the S3. What you do is when you set up your bucket, you just go to your bucket, and then you go under, well, first, unless you need it, go under versioning and turn it off. Right? Otherwise, you're going to keep different versions of your failed uploads. Then go to management, and you want to create a life cycle rule. And here, you can see I've already created the multi-part rule, and I'll just edit it so you can see what I did. I just gave it a name, right? You can ignore this part in this example, unless you have previous versions. So if you're making daily backups, you'd want to check the previous versions or check the current version depending on your needs. You would then click next, and here, clean up incomplete multi-part uploads. Use 1 day. Good. Next. That's it. And you can see here that once we ran it and it went through, that one folder went from 2.5, 2.6 gig down to, down here, 3 meg, right? Oop, where are we at here? It's actually reading 17. Nope. Standard storage 3 meg. All right. So several gig, 3 meg. One rule. And again, it's just life cycle and click the clean up incomplete multi-part uploads. That's it. So I no longer have to pay several gig. The other folder I had, which I was talking about, you can see it was very exponential, where we went from upwards of almost 4 terabyte down to 120 gig. So I was paying for 4 terabyte worth of storage, which I didn't need. I didn't have. I had no access to. And just by running this cleanup, it was there. So there you go. I did the same thing on that one. That should help you out. As for cost, this was the exponential in cost. And to their credit, you'll see that they backed out. Here's the report from the 1 day. You can see where they backed out the payments for December and have got me back down to the correct cost amount, at least approximately. Well, no, it's a little high yet. Oh, no. Here you go. It's not to their credit. I thought that was lower. It's not to their credit. So this is what I should have been getting charged per day, is 13 cents. This is the $2.88 a day I was getting charged for the data. Here's the cost of the phone call, which they were kind. They prorated it. It's halfway through the month. Thank you, Amazon. And then here's what I am getting billed now. So again, I hope that helps somebody. It's really not intuitive on their part. I can't believe it's a thing. But once I've learned how to do it, I'll never forget how to do it. And those of you using S3, go in, do that now. It'll save you some money straight up. So thank you very much. Hail Hydra. Pound the like button. See you next time.